This
At Ivy
conference will
Professional
now
School.
be recorded.
Sorry. So, welcome everyone. My name is Ishani. I'm one of the directors over here at Ivy Professional School, and we have been in analytics for when analytics came to India since 2007. We were one of the first few companies who started analytics in India. So, the whole point of keeping these seminars, webinars, is that everybody gets to know what is data analytics all about, what is this data science, the buzzword that we have these days, and to be able to answer the questions like, how do I do my career transition? Is analytics meant for me? How do I fit into analytics? What are the various fields which I can explore in analytics, and which will be best suited for me based on my educational background, based on my work experience, right? So I'm just going to walk you through a couple of slides, and in between, whenever you have any questions, please feel free to stop and ask the questions. You can either ask me in the chat that you are using, or you can ask using your mic. But before I get started, if you can give me a brief about your background, what educational background you guys have, or if you are experienced or a working professional, where are you working, how many years, which kind of industry? Anybody can start. Nirupam, you want to start since you were using a mic? So Harbhajan, you are BE Electronics from 1992. Nirupam is a first year student BCA. Okay. And Akshay, Priyanka, Krishna. Krishna seems to be having trouble in online. Okay, so one is from BE and one is from engineering background. So doing business in IT and IT and security. All right. That's again in boom, something that is in boom right now. Akshay is doing integrated BTech MTech in mechanical. Okay, from where are you doing this integrated course? Delhi NCR. All right. I'll give you my background as well, so that you guys get encouraged to step into the world of analytics. I'm a civil engineer, and I did my bachelor's at a university called Thapa University in Patiala, Punjab. Thereon, I worked in large MNCs in construction companies like Punj Lloyd for about 1.5 year. Then I did my master's in civil engineering again in Texas A&M, which is in US, and I worked there as a consultant for about 6 years, and then I moved back to in India. Once I came back to India, fortunately or unfortunately, civil engineering was not in boom that time, and analytics, I had seen that somewhat, analytics has started in US, and that was a good transition for me, because as an engineer, you are good in your logical thought process. You are supposed to be analytical. You work with tools, like we used to do a lot of coding even in civil engineering. Worked with Excel, explored data quite a bit, did a lot of analysis, and so this was a very easy transition, to be honest. Very sensible transition, being an engineer and getting into analytics. So that's where my journey started back in 2007 and 2008, when I started my journey in analytics. And since then, I've been working as a trainer, do retail batches, do a lot of corporate batches for companies like ITC, Capgemini, PwC, HSBC, few of the clients. And then I have done a lot of consulting projects. So my expertise is more into exploration, visualization, and automation. That's where I expertise in analytics. So I get hired by these companies to do some projects for them, right? So, like I said, it was very easy, very sensible move from moving from engineering to analytics. So I have Uday also, who's working in Union Bank, B Electronics 2012, 5 working experience in treasury as forex dealer, trading experience in arbitrage and bullion. Okay, great. So I've got working professional and one fresher. And Akshay also kind of a fresher, two freshers in working professions. All right, let me take you through this slide deck that we have prepared. The first slide is going to talk about us, in which just wanted to make you understand that you know why Ivy is among the top 10 in the country for the time that the ranking has started. So 6 years in a row we have been in top 10. We have worked with almost 50 plus global client. When I say global client, I'm talking about the largest manufacturers of their industries. For example, the largest steel manufacturer, tobacco. We're talking about all the boutique analytics company that we have worked with, and our students are hired over there. Talking about the biggest manufacturing, units in India, and we have worked with them in consulting, in training. We have been in training for past 12 years, and the reason we've been able to survive and be successful is that we like to evolve our program as per the need of the industry. So, like I said, since we work with a lot of corporate clients, what we do is we look at the trend, because when the corporate is asking for a particular training from us, that indicates that they see a future in that particular tool. So we try to imbibe those tools, those the needs of the corporate into our program, so that when we are training our candidates, they are industry ready. They already know the concept that the companies are looking for, and that makes it easier for them to be hired, and the companies are happy because they've got a ready-made product. They don't need to give extensive training to these candidates. So past 12 years, a lot of our candidates are working in pretty much any analytics company you name, you will have an Ivy student working in there. Alumni have come, old alumni who were there have become people who are hiring right now. So they bring their companies, they tell us what are the openings, they help in the networking of Ivy current student and the past student. So that's an excellent opportunity that we get with our past students. We have centers in Calcutta, Bangalore, Delhi, Noida, Pune, Bombay, and our faculties. You can, always ask for some demo sessions for, understanding the training methodology at IB. You will see that these guys are seasoned professionals in analytics. Few of the clienteles that you have below. Now let's talk about what is your understanding of analytics. Anyone? What do you understand by with the word analytics? I'm not even going to talk about data science, just the basic word analytics. What do you think is analytics? Layman terms. So I've got more candidates. Anisha Bijoy has also joined in. SKK has joined in. So what is your understanding of when you say the word analytics, or like you guys are thinking about getting into analytics, but what does analytics really mean to you? Okay, let's see what I have. So whenever you talk about analytics, you would have heard calculations, analysis, JS. And these days, whether you, talk about, you hear things coming out of Bill Gates' mouth, or you talk about, when Modi went to US and he was talking, everybody is talking about data right now. People are talking about the data is the new gold, data is the oil. So data has become very important. And which data is this? This is the historical data that the companies are collecting. So each and every company, from a small to a medium size to a larger organization, has understood the power of data. So they collect a lot of data. So I have a historical data. On that historical data, what I can do, two things I can do. One thing that I can do is I can find the insights of the pattern in the existing data. Let's say I took 5 years data of a retail, let's say Pantaloon. We take a 5-year data, and using some tools and techniques, we can understand, okay, what has happened in these 5 years. So I find some insights in certain patterns, things like that. Really like to find out is there any seasonality effect or not? Is there any particular trend that I'm able to find in my data? Let's say at the quarter 4 of each year, I take a dip in the sales, and then quarter 1 I revive. But why do I take a dip? So those kind of things we are finding through some of the tools like Tableau, like Power BI, like Excel. And the second part of it is that we like to make predictions. So using historical data, one thing that we are doing is finding the patterns, looking at the insights, and the second thing that we are doing is making predictions. So like the example that I took of Pantaloon, we are saying, okay, 5 years data we got, and we are simply working with the data and understanding, oh, what happened in the past, some patterns that I can identify. Now, next thing that I'm trying to do is, let's say Pantaloon wants to venture out into new product line. So what should be that product line? So this is prediction for the future. So I have a business problem. My business problem is what? My business problem is I want to understand what are the new product lines that I should venture in, and how will I find that understanding? I will understand that using the past data. Okay. A past data could be Pantaloon's past data. The past data could be competitors, similar competitors' past data, and understanding the predictions. So there are two parts in analytics. One is the past, we are doing the pattern analysis, and one is the predictions in it. Any questions in this?
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, Krishna. Good afternoon.
Ma'am, prediction is a part of data science, not a data analytics part.
See, that's a very, common question. It's not data science, data analytics. So, when we started analytics in India back in 2007, 2008, everything was called data analytics. Everything was data analytics. Whatever you did, whether you did descriptive, you did predictive, it was all called data analytics. Then came a transition about 2011, 2012. People started using the word business analytics. So everything was related to business analytics, and still we were doing the same thing. There was no difference in what we did in 2007 versus 2012. Then came the era where machine learning got introduced, where the artificial intelligence got introduced and deep learning got introduced, and that's where the term of data science came into existence. So when you're talking about predictions, not exactly, data science is not only doing predictions. When we talk about data science, we primarily focus on machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the deep learning part. But predictions we have been doing for a very long time. The models like linear model, logistic, time series, clustering, these have been forever in our statistics. These have been used. First, we used to use SPSS, then came SAS, then R, then Python. So the tools are changing, but pretty much we're doing the same thing. When you talk about predictions is not really data science. Prediction is still falling under the umbrella of analytics. When you say data science, you're moving more towards machine learning.
So tell me the ma'am basic difference between data science and data analytics.
See, the basic difference between a data science and data analytics. So data analytics would mean that you are following a traditional modeling methods, okay, in which we do not do like a real-time analysis. What we do, the company gives us data. We understand the business problem. Based on that, we understand what is the statistical model we want to apply, and we create, test, and train the data, and we create a model, and then we say, okay, this is my prediction or this is my profile that I have created, right? Now you're talking about machine learning, and in machine learning, you're talking about image processing, you're talking about voice, you're talking about videos, things that are not structured in nature, right? Plus, you're doing some real-time analytics, as in you're training the machines so that if the data comes, I don't need a human intervention. The algorithms are already there, which keeps on working on the data, and the models are keep on churning, and we can keep getting the outputs. So there's not just one model that we create. It's like a continuous process. Algorithms are already there. We have trained the machine with enough data that it can process the data on its own. So that's machine learning, that's data science.
Data analytics is used to only prepare for report only, and data
Not
science is
really.
used for.
Not really. That's a wrong concept you have. Uh, See, if you're saying that it was meant for report only, so data science word was not there initially, right? If you look back, if you try to find out when did this word data science came, it's a relatively newer term. Okay, 2000 probably data science, machine learning. This is
Can
2020, right?
we,
So about 5 to 6 years back is where data science came into existence.
can we differentiate with the help of example, ma'am?
With the help of an example, absolutely. So, for example, you go to Facebook and you click on some, let's say, article related to data analytics, right? And so that data which you have generated at that moment of time gets processed. Based on that, algorithms are made. And what happens as soon as you click on like button of that particular article, suddenly any company which has given an ad in the Facebook related to data science or data analytics would start to appear at the bottom of your of that particular article, because now you have become its target customer. Okay, so algorithms are working as and when the data they are receiving, their algorithms is giving outputs. So that's data science.
Okay, okay. Algorithm is basic difference between data science and data analytics
Yeah,
part.
so when you talk about data analytics, our models are pretty much fixed and they have been running for the same models have been there for, like, if you talk to a guy, in some of the premier institutes, or you talk to a very old statistician, he will also talk about linear logistic time series, ARIMA, and all these things. 65-year-old person, if you talk, he'll talk about this. You talk about a young data analytics guy who is like 23, 25, he'll talk about these models, and they've not become outdated. But now, with the variety of data that we have, the velocity of the data that we have, and the kind of applications we have found for analytics, it's not easy to sustain with these models. Hence, newer models have come up. Okay, and that's
O-
where new algorithms have come up, and that's where machine learning and AI are progressing.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Where do you think analytics is used? I would say, I have put down 5 or 7 industries, but right now I feel there's no industry that can live without analytics. When we say analytics, it may be as simple as finding patterns and, understanding the basic data to some kind of prediction. But if a person is not using data, the person is not going to be successful in the business for a very long time. So if you talk about travel, right? Dynamic pricing, even in the railways, the dynamic pricing have been introduced. You talk about healthcare. Uh, People are predicting, right now, if you talk about coronavirus, all the statisticians in the world are trying to do prediction on what is going to be the aftermath of coronavirus. They using the numbers, right? They are currently collecting all sort of data. If you are an active person in analytics, you will also see a lot of competitions have come up for COVID-19, in which you are doing a lot of time series predictions to see, what will be the total number of cases, what will be the number of cases recovered, what will be the number of cases in which the death is going to happen, right? So in healthcare, we are doing that. And how do we do that? So think about how they're able to make a prediction. Any guesses? How are they able to make prediction of something which is currently going on? How do you think they're making predictions? They're collecting the live data, but they have to, have something from the past, right? So we did have history. It's not that it's the first time pandemic has happened. Statistical data, past data, like MERS what happened, SARS disease was there. So there have been diseases in the past with a similar outbreak, and we are looking at the pattern. We are doing the comparison of data of those diseases and this disease, right? So a lot of pattern matching is happening, a lot of predictions based on what has been the trend. Or people are predicting about the second wave of coronavirus coming in. All this is because of the data, because we have seen in the past that these kind of diseases have a second phase that comes in, right? Talk about fraud, fraud detection. People are very smart. I don't know if you guys have experienced, but I had American Express back when I was in US, and these guys were so good. I can't even tell you with the timing. They were so good. Like, say for example, if I was buying 2 laptops instead of one, you know, as soon as I gave my card for the purchase, the card got blocked immediately, and I got a call within a minute or so. saying that this is an unusual pattern for your buying history. We have never seen you buy like this. So is it really you, or is it someone else who's buying it? And then they would, do all the background checking to make sure it is the actual person whose credit card it is, and the same person is buying it. So imagine the what do you call, the response level, the response time that the person is doing to do the fraud detection. And again, or a person cannot be sitting and looking at the numbers in Excel and say, oh, this looks unusual. And how will he know that out of thousands and lakhs of customers that I have, this is an unusual thing for me? So there are algorithms which are sitting, and the data is continuously being analyzed, and the algorithms are running on it. And whenever some unusual activity happens, it pops up. And then that's the way it has been done. Then you're talking about drones delivery by Amazon. We are talking about self-driving cars. These are all, examples of artificial intelligence, right? We are talking about Google assistants who can, make reservations for us in restaurants. So, everything has analytics into it pretty much. Social media, Facebook can tell you who's your top fan. Facebook can tell you who's your possibly best friends, all because of the data that is collected in the back end. I was actually I was looking at one of the series recently called Blacklist, in which it says there's no human being who is not leaving a footprint behind. And when we're talking about footprint right now, we're talking about data footprints. We're talking about our history, our life in data based on our what we're doing online, what we're serving, what we are watching. Everything is getting connected, everything is getting collected, and somewhere someone is taking advantage of that data that gets collected, right? So pretty much any field that you touch upon has analytics into it. So a lot of time people come to me and say, hi, I belong to this industry, should I do analytics? The answer is always going to be yes. Now let's talk about some data science roles by industry. The highest is risk analytics, which is in the financial domain, followed by the BI. BI means business intelligence and reporting. A lot of companies, if I have to explain you what BI really means, a lot of companies do a lot of research before they do a product launch. I'll give you a simple example. There was Fair and Lovely cream. Do you guys remember? I don't know how you guys are fairly young. So there was a very, old fairness cream called Fair and Lovely that was used for long. So ITC came up with a new product very similar to Fair and Lovely, and they wanted to test the market whether the person would be buying it or not. So what they did in our part of the country, I belong to Calcutta, they put small pouches in the CES bills, the electricity bills, and they rolled it out, and then they tested the market whether who's buying it, who's not buying it, kind of a thing. So a lot of before you do such experiment, a lot of analysis, a lot of research goes on based on what is existing, what are the trends, and then they come up with launching of the products. So a lot of business intelligence goes on that research products. Then marketing analytics is there. To make a career in risk analytics, FRM is a must? Not really, but yes, it's an advantage that you have. It's not a must. So I have seen typically, if I talk about my past students, what I've seen them doing is, let's say they belong to statistical economics, or they belong to MBA finance, or they belong to some finance domain, right? And they get into, the first step might be only financial analyst. So they get into some banks like HSBC, Axis Bank, where they are doing little bit of, they start into analytics and doing financial analytics, right? Then they slowly get into the roles where risk analytics is involved. But yes, you should have an understanding of, let's say if I ask you what is asset, what is liability, all these things you should know. Okay, financial terms you should know to get into that particular industry. I would not be able to train you on that, or I should not be expecting that Uday, who already has a 5 years of working experience, I should be going back and training this person on the basics of finance. So Uday, if I like the way I've already read your background, you are already working in a bank, you're already dealing with the data in finance. So if you do analytics, the favorable choice for you is financial analytics. And let's say, like I said, when you get into financial analytics, next step is typically risk analytics that people get into. So all my students have done this way. They got into financial analytics. 2-3 years down the line, when I meet them, pretty much they're into risk analytics domain. In risk analytics, there are few more models that we work with, like uh, LGD model, PD model, probability of default. So those kind of things you learn as and when you're working over there. But no, FRM is not a must, but it's always an added advantage. Like if you're a CA, it's an added advantage. If you've done FRM, it's an added advantage. All right. So the biggest in India, if we talk about in the case of analytics, is finance and it's retail. Those are the big things. A lot of companies are hiring, like Flipkart, which is into e-commerce. A lot of companies in Amazon. These companies are hiring because this is all online based, selling. So a lot of analytics, a lot of machine learning goes into it, and we want candidates who would know that. Mahesh is asking, what is the scope of mechanical engineering data science and which course is suitable for us? Please suggest. So like I said, Mahesh, I think we missed the introduction, but I'm also an engineer. I'm a civil engineer. And I feel that being an engineer, there are two things that you bring to the plate. Number one, you're good in maths, right? And number two, you are a person who can be said to have a logical bend of mind or analytical bend of mind. So anybody who's an engineer and who loves maths, okay, I would always suggest them to take up data science and machine learning, always, because it's a good blend of statistics and mathematics and a little bit of programming. And I am sure that I graduated back in 2002, right? And from them, whenever I meet an engineer, I see the trend is still the same. Whether you're mechanical or a computer, civil or a electronic engineer, first year you do require to do the basic programming, right? So your basic programming concept is also there, your maths is also there, and we like to work with numbers. So the preferred program is going to be data science with machine learning, and I'm going to talk in detail about what do you love and what should you pick. All right. Any question on the roles? If you want to understand how this role is, or who should be in this role, or how do I get into this particular role, like they asked about risk analytics. All right. So why learn analytics? This is something that everybody is after these days. Why learn analytics? Financial analytics. How to get into financial analytics, or what happens in financial analytics? Both. Okay. So just to make you understand, financial analytics, uh, see, when we work on a data, the data could be retail data. If I work on a retail data, I'm got a retail analyst. If I work on a data which is financial, so for example, you're looking at a financial statements of a company, right? You want to tell the company, giving you an example, if I want to tell a company what product lines are working, what is not working, right? So how do we tell that? We are looking at the financial data, we are looking at the sales, we are looking at the profits, and that's how we are making a decision. If I want to tell in terms of, if I talk about stocks, if I want to make a portfolio for a particular person, investments, right? Then I have to see, okay, I am going to project that if I make this as a portfolio, this has been the past trend of the what do you call those things, the stocks, and how these stocks are going to be prediction of how they're going to be performing in the future, and how will my portfolio health look like. So that could be another example, right? So any company that we deal with has a financial side to it, right? What is the financial side? Because at the end of the day, we all are trying to make money, trying to make profit. So we take that data and make predictions in the future. Okay. Now, how do I become a financial analytics? I have to learn analytics because that's a tool set, and depends on whether I have an educational background, which is in finance. So, Ruchi, that's a question I'm going to ask you. What's your educational background? BCom and an MCA. Okay. So, in BCom, you would have studied a little bit of pretty much everything, right? In MCA, you gather a lot of understanding of computers, which is good combination in today's time, right? So so you have a little bit of knowledge of marketing, little knowledge of finance, little knowledge of statistics, right? So when you go to a company ages ago, that's fine. The knowledge can be refreshed at any point. So for example, if you want to get into financial analytics, so the time probably you should be refreshing your concepts in financial things that you have learned. And then when you go for the interview, typically companies would ask in the application side of it. So let's say if I give you data of a company like Swiggy, or a company, any e-commerce company. Let's say I give you the data of Amazon, okay? And then I'll say, okay, Ruchi, find me the insights into it. So I would like to understand whether Ruchi is able to understand the business, and if she's able to think in the terms of business, how do I use this tool and get an insight or make a prediction? So that will be my check. So what I would recommend, obviously you have to go through the tools of analytics, because because you have to first of all be well equipped to be able to use any kind of tool that might be used in a business case study. And second thing, you need to equip yourself with the domain knowledge. That's also very important, because I have seen students who, let's say I was talking about Swiggy data set, right? So this student of mine who got a case study on Swiggy, and they did not give any kind of objective. You guys had to come up with an objective and do it. Okay, so I asked him, okay, what are they hiring you as? So he said they are hiring me as a business analyst. Now, what do you think is the role of a business analyst? The role of business analyst for Swiggy is going to be to increase the business. So what should I find from that data? I should find that from the data, not only what is going good for me, like where the sales are happening and all those things, but I also want to find out what could be the future prospects that I can achieve from this data. So what I told him to do, let's say we are doing very well in selling a particular type of snacks. Let's say in Swiggy, we get hundreds and hundreds of orders of sweets. So if I have 10 vendors under me who are selling sweets, let me think about more vendors who are in sweets and let me get them. So I'm expanding my business. So that is the kind of insight a business analyst is supposed to do, right? So depending on the job description that they want you for, you should be able to apply that knowledge on the data that they give and using the analytics tool. Okay, how can I get the data, Krishna? In today's time, data is the easiest thing to get. But trust me, even if I give you a data, the toughest thing is to sit and think, what can I do with the data? So when I look at the data, or when I expect my students and candidates to look at the data, I would first of all want them to understand, what did the data tell you? Okay, basic stuff, instead of starting to work on the data with the software. So I tell them, sit down, understand your basic data, think about what all I can do with the data based on my tool knowledge, and then start working. So where can you get the data? You can get it from data.gov. That's all government data that you can get. You can get from a site called Data World. There are a lot of competitions that happen on one thing, what is it called? Kaggle competitions are happening right now. Coronavirus is the hottest thing. Pretty much everyone is running a competition on it. We are also going to start pretty soon. So companies give data, yeah, absolutely. So they're not going to give you, so they're not going to give you the entire data, and they are not going to give you the entire actual data. But there's, yes, they give you, after masking the data, they give the data and they give a real-time business problem to you to work on. So when I'm talking about these projects like Kaggle and all, they have prizes on it, like $50,000, $60,000, prize money is there. Okay, and plus all this data this is available on data.gov, it is government data, and that's a real time actual data that you have, and you can sit and explore it, no problem. Okay, so Mahesh is asking, I don't have background in programming language, so what can be the sequence of learning for me in data science, how to start a career for me, and when, from where? See, that is one thing that you have to keep in mind, that you're not expected to be a programmer when you want to get into data science or data analytics. So if you talk to anyone who is in data analytics and ask them how much programming they know, probably 1 second, Krishna. So Mahesh, if you go and ask someone who's already working as an analyst, and ask them which programming languages do they know or how much programming do they know, probably next to zero. Okay, the reason I say that, the tools that we're using in analytics, like Python, like R, like SAS, like SPSS, these are statistical softwares in which you really don't have to sit and do a lot of coding, or you don't do, let's say, from scratch coding. So, like if you talk about Python, you have different libraries which are already there. All you need to do is install the library, work with the library. If you talk about R, R has packages. So you download the package, you run the package. Now in the package, there is a code written, which you have not written, but you're still utilizing it. So I don't think so. You have to have you need to be a big fan of programming to get into analytics. Okay, so that's one notion that you can get rid of. Yes, what you really, really should be passionate about is numbers and stats. Stats, if you've not done in your past, that's fine, but you should not be a person who is afraid of statistics, who is afraid of numbers. If you're that kind of person, then no, don't get into analytics at all. Don't get into data science at all. Okay, to clarify your question, Krishna. So there are companies like there are websites like data.gov, which has a lot of data that is there. So data.gov is there in US. So you pick what kind of data you're looking for. Are you looking for manufacturing? You're looking for healthcare? You're looking for education? Let's say if I click on the healthcare data, now you will get a lot of different type of data. For example, hospital charge data. Over here, million heart epi exchange data, African American History Month. So there are going to be a lot of data sets. Like if you click on the data, see 1,700 data is on there. Patient survey, state, CDC, state data, tobacco legislation, fire safety deficiencies. So all this data is available to you. You can download the data. Uh, Sometimes a lot of people have worked on it, so they keep on creating what they found in the data. Otherwise, you can also, create your own based on what do you call headers are there, what fields are there, what kind of data is given to you. You can think about how I'm going to utilize and what I can find in it. You can't get a particular company's data. Like I can't go in some that would be big privacy breach, right? If I will be able to go in a company's data, you can't do that. But there's a lot of free data which is available to you. So some of the companies might be putting their data out, which they may fudge a little bit. But what I may mean by fudge, let's say if I'm doing some customer insight analysis. So I'm not going to give you the name of my actual customers, the email and the phone number of the actual customers. So I'll fudge that data, and probably things that are related to, let's say, buying pattern, how much money they have spent, their credit history, that might still be there, but not with the real names and numbers and all those things. So I can't go into some like I can't get into HSBC system and from the server get the data. That's not a possibility. That should not happen. We will be in big problem, right? Anisha, I am a computer science graduate with 1.5 year experience in EY and SAP. Had a break between almost 1.5 year. Post did I certification on human resource and analytics, which helped me to realize my interest with data. With present working people's operation associate, just wanted to understand what course would suit me the best. Anisha, I think you should do with the business analytics. The basic foundation program that we have, you should do that. It is not a very what do you call Uh, it's not a very well established field at this point in India, where we are talking about analytics on human behavior, right? People operation HR has a lot of uncertainties because of human behavior, which is kind of difficult to predict, like other things. So, but you'll be surprised that companies like Accenture in Gurgaon, they had hired us for training about 1,000 people only on HR analytics. So what we did for them is what I'm going to suggest you. Do a simple business analytics program in which you deal with Excel, SQL, you deal with statistics, you deal with the statistical softwares like R and Python. Okay, that's more than sufficient for now. If you want to add on, just to make your profile even better, you can add a data visualization tool in it, like Tableau. That is something that, visualization is something that pretty much everyone asks for, everyone wants it. So you can add on visualization package into it. For a career in data analyst, which essential thing I have to learn in data science and which course is suitable for me? I'll talk about that. Okay, give me a minute and I think all your questions will be solved. So how do we use analytics in business? First, we get a business problem. Nobody is going to give me a data and say, boss, can you apply a date time series and give it back to me? It doesn't work that way. So when a business comes to us, when a client comes to us, what they give is a business problem and they give their data, which they think is relevant to it. So then you as an analyst can only understand whether I need the entire data or I need to filter the data, I need to extract the data and use it. So first from the business problem, we create a business understanding. Like if ITC comes to me, I have to understand, okay, what is this data that they're given to me and what do they want? If let's say Coca-Cola comes to me, there's a understanding that I need to do of the business. If something like Apollo hospitals come to me, there's a different business understanding. Once we are aware of that, then we get into data exploration to understand, okay, is the business problem relevant or not? I'll give you a simple example. A company came and said, I am not getting enough conversion from my website. So that was a business problem. I'm not getting enough conversion from my website. Means a person is coming to my website and not buying anything. So that was a business problem. So once you do the basic data exploration, what was found that it was not that the people were not getting converted. The problem was there was not enough people coming to the website. Okay, so and the wrong people were targeted who would not be buying that product. So that, when we did a little bit of data exploration, the business problem completely changed. It changed into not into conversion, it changed into right targeting of the people and to make sure that enough footprint is there on the website for the conversions to happen. So that's why a little bit of data exploration always helps you to understand data. Then next step, which takes about 60 to 70% of the time in analytics, is your data preparation. 70% of the time goes in data preparation because data comes in all shapes and forms. So it takes a lot of effort to clean before you can actually give it to your tools. Then we do data modeling on it. And then we convert it back to a business solution. So we start with the business problem, we end with the business solution, because at the end of the day, our client does not understand numbers, does not understand analytics, and that's why we got hired. Right? Now comes what are the various roles where I think this is going to help you guys to understand where do I fit in. If you talk about the very basic roles in analytics, we start with something like a MIS reporting analyst. That is the level 0 in analytics. What should I know in this? I should know Excel. I should know the tools like SQL. I should know the tools like VBA, which is basically automation of Excel. Then comes the next step, that I can become a data visualization analyst, which is high in demand. Can you explain in simple language? Absolutely. Krishna, what do you want me to explain again? Let me know what you want me to explain again, because I would, I am actually known for talking in a very layman term. So I'm just thinking analytics roles. Role in analytics. This is as basic as we can talk. What is MIS reporting is management of information system. So something like, if you get hired in a company where you have to create in Excel reports, right? If you have to create summaries and reports, that's what an MIS reporting analyst does. A person who works with Excel, primary work is Excel, working with very, very simple data in which I will get the data. I'll be told, okay, Ishani, make this report for me using my skill set of Excel. I'll create that report and I'll send it out. So I really don't bother to understand the data, number one, in this role. Really don't bother to understand what is the outcome of that summary, like what is the business side of that summary. For me, I just have to churn out reports. Okay, so that is what MIS reporting analyst done. So Excel does what? Excel helps us to do reporting and analysis. SQL is a tool which helps you to do extraction of the data. Like I said, we have robust data these days. And if I am working for a particular, like somebody says, I want to do product wise analysis. Okay, give me over the years, how has various products sales happened? So that's my business problem, or that's my summary that I want to do. Then the first thing I would want to do is only get my data related to product and the years, and then probably create my report. So SQL helps me to do that. It helps me to extract the data from a database. MIS, management of information system. Okay. And VBA is it's a programming language which helps you to automate your Excel processes. Now, we do a lot of things in Excel which there is no formula for it, or there is no function that I can use and copy paste and get done with it. So I do a lot of manual work. So in order to reduce that manual work, we write codes in the backend of Excel that will, if you click a button, the entire process will run automatically by itself. So that's done by VBA. The full form of VBA is Visual Basic for Application. And what is this application we're talking about? We're talking about MS Office. Krishna, makes sense? So then we talk about visualization analyst. Now visualization would mean like charts, graphs, and whether you pick a magazine or you pick a newspaper, you will see people are giving a lot of charts. So these days, I think Times of India, if you guys are reading, in our side of the country, I think it should be a VBA needs code. VBA is coding. It's hard coding, like C++ kind of coding. Okay. If you in Times of India, if you see, there's a small front panel that comes these days, and that front panel only has visualizations. So whatever it talks about, there is a small top line, a small story, and a graph or a visual to explain that, right? So that is what visualization means charts, graphs. And why do we need it? Because we are able to explain the analysis or the finding or the exploration to the masses when we use things like charts. Okay, and which tools are used in the industry? Tools are like Tableau, Power BI, which are used in our part of the world. I've seen Tableau is used more above Power BI, but if you talk about like US, or you talk about a little bit of Europe, they are more into Power BI. But I feel personal use, I feel Tableau is much more stronger for visualization purpose. So if you talk about data visualization rules, then you need to know Excel, you need to know SQL, and you need to know Tableau. Then we're talking about predictive modelers. So till this part of MIS and data visualization, these two parts, okay, till these two parts, this comes under something called descriptive analytics. Why descriptive? Because we are not finding anything in the future, where we are just simply sitting and exploring the data and understanding what has happened in the past. The second phase of it is, or the next step into analytics is when we understand what is prediction. How do we do predictions? So that is predictive modeling. Now, what do we need? We need Excel, SQL, we need statistics, and we need statistical models like programming languages like R or Python or SAS. These are the top three languages that are used throughout. So our Python SAS are what? Statistical software packages. Statistics knowledge absolutely must. It's like a backbone in the industry. And then I need SQL and Excel as well to prep the data, to clean the data. So I need all these things. Then comes big data analyst. So big data analysts are the people who should have a knowledge of Hadoop. Now, why Hadoop? Because it helps me to work with unstructured data. Which is better to learn, Python or R or SAS? Honestly speaking, Mahesh, Python is number one right now all over the world in any kind of industry, whether you talk about analytics, whether you talk about software industry, any industry you're touching, Python is the number one software that people are asking. And when you talk about the future in analytics, we talk about machine learning and AI. And Python is more convenient as a programming language to work with algorithms of machine learning. So Python is a language, yes. Tool in the sense it's a, oh, how do I explain it? It's a statistical software. It's a Python is a programming language, yes. So these are called languages in which you will have to write syntax. You have to write the codes, but the codes are not like if you like I think Ruchi and one more person is there who has done BCA and MCA. Like when you're coming from programming background, there are some hardcore programming languages like C, C++, .NET, Java. So it's not like that, but they still fall in the category of programming languages. Okay. And then we are talking about data scientists, data science that you all are talking about, in which, so whatever we have spoken about on the top, plus machine learning comes into picture. So a lot of algorithms you will have to understand in machine learning. And how are these algorithms applied? They are either applied using R. So there are some people who use R to apply machine learning. And there's another set of people who are using Python for machine learning. But most popular language that is used is Python. Okay, now which role is meant for me? Something that you guys are asking me, and I would say it's difficult for me to understand that for you. So it's best that you pick based on what you love. I really feel after, let's say, you guys are working for 3 years, 1.5 year, 5 years in a particular domain, and now you're thinking of again venturing into a new world. So this time when you venture into the new world, it has to be very clear why I'm getting into this. So for example, if I love statistics, if statistics is something I enjoy, okay, I should be in predictive modeling. Predictive modeling means I should learn things like R, Python, SAS, okay. If I love statistics and I love math and I know a little bit of programming, I'm not expecting you to be a programmer per se, but you know a little bit of programming, you have a good you love for mathematics and statistics, then you should dive into the field of data scientist. Typically, I recommend this program for anybody who's coming from an engineering background or BCMCA kind of a thing where programming is also there. And I feel anybody who's a good programmer has good logical thought process. So I would recommend that. If you like statistics and you are good in programming, so this one, then you should get into big data analyst, because if you don't like programming or you've never got your hands dirty on programming, never get into big data analyst, because over here hardcore programming happens in Hadoop. So you will not be able to survive, right? And if your statistics is okay, like I understand what is mean median mode, I understand what is forecasting, I understand what is clustering, I understand what is standard deviation variation. But if you take me deep into statistics, not comfortable. But I love to work with data. I love to explore data. Then you get into visualization. And if you don't like statistics, but you like working with numbers, then you get into MIS reporting analyst. Okay. Mahesh, does that answer your question? Where do you belong? Or what is best suited for you? Any question from anyone? Nirupam, Ruchi, Mahesh, Krishna, Harbhajan, Akshay? You're welcome, Ruchi. Mahesh, did you understand where do you fit in? For engineers, trust me, I would always prefer this one. Like Ruchi, and there's one more person who has done MCA. You might be good in this part also, right? But so you have to decide. Sometimes I have seen people who have done computer science engineering and still hate programming. So I should not, stereotype that you have done BC or MCA, you would want to be into big data, right? Exactly. I know people who have done programming and hate it. And being a civil engineer myself, I've always been in programming, and fortunately, unfortunately, I loved it. So I'm still in programming. Engineering maths is used? No, engineering maths is not used. Class 12 maths is used. Calculus, vectors, those kind of things are used. But that again, if I hated maths or I struggled with maths, I'm going to still struggle, irrespective of what level of maths it is. Thinking of data scientists and visualization. Good, good, good. Visualization is something, pretty much every company requires and needs and is asking for. So sometimes people ask me, why should I learn so many tools that you're telling us? Now the problem
I have,
is, yeah,
ma'am, which type of mathematics is used? Engineering mathematics like Laplace transform,
no, no,
like
no, 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 not all that. Oh my God, that scares me. The first year of maths and engineering scares me a lot.
hard,
So those theories don't come. It's like matrices, operations, a little bit
basic
of vector
basic
calculus.
calculation.
Yes, yes, that would be there. But again, like I said, if somebody hated maths, if you don't like maths or if you did not have maths in your curriculum, then obviously there's a reason why you did not have maths in your curriculum,
I'm
right?
also
Then
engineering
don't
background.
dive into data scientist.
I am also engineering background, triple E branch.
Triple E branch, good. So if you already see, we all engineers have to give a lot of common entrance exams, and the maths is one of the vital thing that they check. So our maths is
Yes,
relatively better, right? So maths,
engineering
you
math,
obviously engineering
but
maths not required, because see, when Krishna, you have to understand, when you give entrance exam for colleges, you don't give engineering maths. You give basic maths, right? Integration, differentiation, trigonometry, and all those things.
very good, ma'am. But engineering mathematics is not good
Not
for me.
required. Not required at all. I hated it. I didn't pass very easily in that. Don't worry. I'm surviving, and so will you. Don't worry about that. What I'm talking about is still class 12th maths, not about engineering maths, nothing like that.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
I have a good in maths, stats, but I've started learning Python. Good.
Okay.
If you have understood, Mahesh, maths and stats, it's good, and Python is the language to know at this point. I have loved accounts when I did BCom. Which role do you think I can combine with financial background? If you loved accounts, okay. Um, See there, so don't get into, try to get into risk, okay, Ruchi, try to get into risk. So when you talk about finance also, there is retail banking analyst, and there is risk, right? So try to get into the risk side of it, rather than retail banking analyst, because there you will be only working with the analysis of operations in a retail bank, rather than actually working with uh, in risk. You talk about, let's say a company comes to you and say, I want to get a loan from your bank, Ruchi, and then you decide, am I going to give you the loan, yes or no? If yes, what's the risk I have to calculate? If how higher the risk, I'll put a more rate of interest. If lower the risk, I put lower rate of interest. So in that, whatever accounts knowledge you guys gain comes handy quite a bit. So I would say get into risk analytics. The course that, see, in risk analytics, it's not dependent on the course. So if you want to get into risk analytics, I would suggest, mm, mm, mm. So I think you can do two of the things depending on how comfortable you are. Maths has to be good. You were in accounts then, right? Two things you can do. Either you can take up like a predictive modeling and add on a visualization tool to it. That could be one way. Because at the end of the day, we do a lot of, you love maths, then do this one. Sorted. Data scientist. Because at the end of the day, each and every industry is moving towards machine learning algorithms. We need to know it. It's like the need of the hour. So if you are comfortable with maths, get into data science. See, Mahesh, it depends on how much knowledge you gain, how much projects in the case studies you have done. So I have had people who had zero experience in analytics. They had experience, but not in analytics, who got into the profile of data scientist. But then I had people who did not clear in one go and got into data scientist role, so they had to work with the regular predictive modeling jobs for, let's say, 1 or 2 years, and then got into data scientist. So it depends on where you are trying to push yourself, and when I say push yourself, it depends on which projects you are doing. That is very important. So if, for example, if I have done 5 projects in machine learning algorithms, then I'm floating my resume, the chances that company will hire me as a data scientist, right? But if I'm projecting myself to be more comfortable in traditional, what do you call, predictive modelings like linear, logistic, time series, even they are important, then I will not be hired as a data scientist, but as an analyst. So it depends on you. Wherever you find your passion, try to do more projects on it. The more projects you do, the better you are, the better your chances of getting hired. I had a guy, his name was Goldie. This guy had like the 14 years of experience in sales, purely sales, nothing much sales, 14 years of experience. And after he did his analytics, this guy did about 20 Kaggle competitions. Okay, Kaggle is a website where they host worldwide data analytics on machine learning and all these concepts. They host competitions with money value on it. So it's big thing. This guy participated in 20 of them. Okay, so when the interview was happening, and luckily I was on the con call with the interviewer and the candidate, when the interview happening, I didn't see them asking any point of time that why after 14 years you want to get into analytics. They were so interested that this guy has showed his passion for data, for competitions, and he did 20 of them, that they were only talking about the projects, or only talking about the projects in the competition that he has worked for, which one was the best, what were the challenges he faced, how did he overcame all those things. So that 14 years of non-relevant experience was not even spoken about once, just because his present he made so powerful using the projects. So my advice would be, if you want to get into analytics and you want to sure shot get a job, a good job, first understand where does my passion lie. So I may be very passionate about Excel. I may be very good with Excel. I can still get the same amount of money that a Python guy is getting. But I have to be excellent in what I'm doing. So find your passion, do maximum projects in that, and then start applying. I have got a lot of odd stories, Ruchi, that I have inspired myself also using those stories. Uh, where I have so told candidates that no, you don't cut off for, you're not cut out for analytics, and they've proved me wrong. So, where I've seen where there's determination, where the people are passionate about this thing, they have done it, irrespective of what others are telling. So you have to know exactly. So first understand where you fit in. That's why I, make this slide these days. To first you have to understand what I love. Only if you know what I love, you will be successful in that particular field. All right. Any other questions, guys? In case you have any questions, you can always reach out to your counselors. If you want to get on a one-to-one con call with me or with any other expert over here, the subject matter expert, If you want to talk specifically on one particular tool and in what depth we cover, what projects we do, then please let your counselors know. They will put you on con call with a subject matter expert. And what else you can
One
do is
question
you can
for me.
also contact them and sit for our demo classes. When I say demo classes, you can take 1 or 2 classes for free on the tools that you would like to experiment.
One question.
Yeah,
There are various types of databases, SQL,
absolutely.
then
Hmm.
Oracle,
Right.
many. Yeah. So, if suppose there are different types of database, how can we club it to one single database? Is it possible? Data
Uh,
migration.
you're doing data migration. Let's say you have a data in Oracle and you want to migrate it to the other tool.
Yeah, there are three different databases available now.
Hmm.
Yeah, SQL, Oracle, and MS Access, something like that. So,
Yeah,
and you want to put it
MySQL,
into one
MS
single.
Access. So you are
Yeah.
basically going to do a query from the databases and then consolidate the data. And then again, if you want to store it, you can store it or just extract it as a CSV file. You'll have to do an extraction using SQL query. So SQL queries is common to whether you're using an Oracle or MySQL or an Access, right?
Oh.
So writing a
Mhm.
query, you can access the data, extract the data, and
Third
we can,
party
take.
database,
Hmm?
like I don't know what databases still are using people. There are Oracle, Microsoft, and another is I think Ingrace or something,
There are a
like
lot of
different
databases that are
third.
there,
Yeah.
but there is like a common programming language that we use, which is called SQL, which is structured
Okay.
query language. Now,
Mhm.
SQL is a language that I can use in the backend of MS Access and do the query and extraction of the data. I use it with MySQL also, and you can use it on Oracle also. So pretty much the working remains the same, except for 5-10% syntax changes happen.
Can you name me some databases apart from Oracle and SQL?
MySQL, it's MySQL, MS Access, Oracle could be there, and there will be few that I do not know of. These are the most popular ones that are used in the industry.
Because I believe like the major problems what nowadays corporates are facing is they are having different types of database because they are using different types of softwares now available. You can
Hmm.
see like uh, what I can visualize is people facing problems of migrations, data migrations, because data available at different database and have to be come into one single place. Any software or tool is available for migrations so that it will be easy for analytics.
See, when you do, there are two different things. One thing is you're talking about data migration. Data migration would be, let's say, my company invested on SAP. SAP is also one popular one, right? My data was all in one particular software, let's say Oracle. Now everything has to be migrated to MS Access or has to be migrated to another database. So that's migration. The migration would be I'm uh, taking the data from one database and putting it in another database. I've changed my database on which I'm working. Second thing that you're talking about is, let's say I have multiple databases in which my data is kept. I want to do an extraction from this data and consolidate the data and work on it. So for that, individually, we are doing extractions. Okay, so there's no migration involved. So I'm not going to bring data from one database to another database. So typically when migrations happen, the companies in which, let's say if I got an SAP for my company and I want to migrate my data, those are the guys who are there in the software, they help in migration. They will help you to migrate because you are trying to convert one what do you call structure of data into another structure of data. So that they do. But if you're talking about working with multiple databases and getting the data from multiple database, that we as an analyst can do. We can do extractions from any database.
I understand that because this is totally it will be a data migration will be a totally different field.
Exactly, it will be a
It
different
will
thing,
not be
and
in
mostly the
but
soft.
see,
Mhm.
data scientists should be having a knowledge of migration.
Not really. We don't need to do migration because see, you can't. You have to understand, Harbhajan, one thing. We are in a technology based environment, right? And every time new databases would come, new technologies would come. So all I can be made aware of is what is new coming, but I might not know to the depth that I can do a migration myself. So in my experience, when I've been working with various companies in India and in abroad, whenever we switched softwares for our what do you call need, the companies whose software you will buy, they are the people who will help you in migration. Okay, because I would not know in depth how to map it. They map it for us. And in my own organization at IB, we had, 2, 3 phases where we have gone through that data migration thing that you're talking about. And trust me, those people map it for us and we do the migration. So we don't really have to be an expert in that. There's no way you can be expert. There are so many things out there. You cannot be there. You cannot be, expert of all of it.
I remember in 2000, I was working with a company, Vaman Technologies. They were making up this software called Vaman, wherein data migration was playing an important role. Like you have videos, clips, you have audios, apart from this text data, so which has to be migrated. Nowadays, you see, data is in different forms available.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
like for advertising company, you need advertisement clips to have a time monitoring on that. You have to take the text matter from the video clips. So
Yeah.
such kind of migrations, like, and you have to store it somewhere, and then you have to do the analytics of the time, what time,
Yeah.
which
So that's
place.
not migration. So that's not migration, Harbhajan. Or probably,
No, no, I
you're
mean to
calling it
say like the
migration. I don't understand.
database will be is not only about the text. It can be a video
Absolutely.
clips also. I mean to say
Absolutely.
the data can be video also.
Absolutely. That's what we call as unstructured data. So when you talk about unstructured data, we are talking about, let's say, icons on Facebook. We are talking about text, that we are talking about images. We are talking about videos. We are talking about audio clips. Okay, so this is all unstructured where I can't put it in the rows and column. Now there's a company called Viduli who one of our student had worked with, and a couple of them did an internship over there, which does what you're talking about. Like for example, they worked with video analytics, in which they understood, okay, how much which video should be placed where and for how much time, what should be my target audience based on the profile of the people, and that they got from their images, then they got from their text. So a lot of backend APIs were integrated to extract that data. Okay, and then analytics was done on it, and then the outputs were given to the client. So it's not migration. You do a lot of extraction of the data. We have something called a web crawlers, which can extract data from a particular website to understand the data on their website, and then we do analytics on it.
Okay, thanks.
All right. All right, guys. If you have any questions, like I said, reach out to your counselors. We can have one-to-one discussions with the SME expert. You can also avail some free classes. Depending, let's say if you're a complete fresher, then I would recommend that, okay, do the free courses in Excel. If you already have started with Python, like Mahesh has, and if you want to try out on Python classes and first 2 classes of Python, you can attend for free, so that you understand our training methodology, you understand the type of candidates who are already enrolled with us, and the faculty, the quality of the faculty. So please free to reach out to your counselors and ask for free demo classes. Yes, the data that will be provided will be industry based. Absolutely. So there are 2 things that we do, Mahesh. One is that we do um, case studies. So for example, if I'm teaching you time series, so I first need to understand that you have understood time series as a technique or not, right? As a model or not. So those small data case studies will be little arbitrary, not very industry. It will have an industry base, but it would not be a robust data and all those things. But when we talk about our projects, once you've done the entire module, then you get into projects. So when you do projects, then it's robust projects where you will take a week, 2 weeks in order to complete the entire project. You have to create, test, and train data. You have to understand what is the model I want to apply. You have to, discard some variables and all. So that will be completely industry-based data that you get. But for case studies, our data are relatively smaller and cleaner data on which you don't really have to struggle hard. because at that point, our aim is for you to learn that new technique. Once you've learned, once you practice, then we give you the real-time work. Okay, guys, let me know if you have any other questions. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for taking out time and talk to me today. If you have any questions, you can always, this is my personal email ID, and this is my phone number. I'm not very good in picking up the calls, but if you drop me a WhatsApp message saying I was in your demo class or I was in the seminar, I will definitely help you out. All right, what I don't deal with is fees and installment plans and anything to related with fees. What I would really like to help you is if you're still confused about what program I should take, whether analytics is meant for me, then definitely I can have one-to-one discussion with you. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.